So it's the Monaghan Way Podcast, episode 16, would you believe? Certainly hope you've been enjoying the previous 15 episodes. You will have noticed we've actually taken ourselves out for this specific and special podcast. So we're actually at the Scotstown Kilmore training grounds here between Ballinode and Scotstown. And our reason for being here, because a gentleman, Scotstown player he still is, but he's a former county player now, Darren Hughes, has called it a day on his illustrious 19 years in the county jersey. So why not go out and join him on the field and we find out a little bit more about those 19 years. And indeed, I've been joined here by Darren Hughes. Darren, in my intro, I referenced the word former county player, obviously a Scotstown club player. Just briefly, is that word former, has it been mentioned to you yet, or has it adapted to you yet?
Yeah, I got a good touch here. I was training here last night, so got a good touch from the lads that should have done it probably a couple of years ago. But no, here, the time had just come and felt it was the right time to step away.
You talked about training here last night. Just again, we chose here specifically because this is the Scotstown club grounds, Kilmore training grounds here. Just the facilities here are incredible.
Yeah, we probably take for granted a lot here. There's been, I suppose, the pitches have been here for up on 30 years now, but the new facility here, the club rooms all done up and the new gym upstairs and access to meeting rooms and that. And yeah, we're spoiled for choice with what we have here now, and here's credit to everybody, the club members and everything. There's a lot of work put into it, a lot of money gathered up and raised, and here we're hopefully bearing the fruits of it, and the future generations will bear the fruits of it down the line.
Absolutely. Well, we can see that, and that has been happening. And again, just we're standing on what will be the main training pitch here, and I know this games actually takes place here as well, particularly at juvenile level. There's two further training pitches then to our left here as we look across. The gym, we'll get a chance to look inside in that as well. And the hub, this is more than just a football training ground actually.
It is. It's community based. Sean, parents, we could come in here from 6:30 in the morning to 10 o'clock at night, and anybody come in walking on the track, out running on the pitches. The gym upstairs, there's meeting rooms there, there's yoga and different things goes on, and there's always something happening about the place. And here, the hub it's the hub of the community at the minute.
Absolutely, yes, some fantastic facilities. I don't know, you recall maybe vaguely the glass houses that were here?
I vaguely recall the glass houses there behind the dressing rooms, and probably the first 5 or 6 years here training afterwards, picking bits of glass out of the ground at different times. But yeah, here it was a great investment from the club back then, and this place every evening from under sevens right up, it's a hive and hub of activity. Yeah. So it is, and it's great to have it.
Absolutely, yeah. You were never guilty of breaking any of the glass panes, right?
No, I just didn't get that far. No, were you?
Well, I'll neither deny or confirm what would have occurred on occasions when you'd be going from Ballinode to Scotstown, and just what was here, and to see it for what it is now, to be standing in the middle of it. And I know if I look off in that direction out over the hill, the homestead's not that far off over there.
Just sort of that way over Shane Carey's home house there, you just straight across to it, yeah. So you can actually, from one of the further fields, you can see the ball stops from here, yeah. So it is, yeah, not too far away.
And that's where it all started, back at home. I've heard the stories of roof tiles being knocked off the house and such like as well, when those early days of picking up and learning in the backyard.
Yeah, the roof and the spoutings and the sky dishes and all, and I would have been doing presentations over the years and advising parents about it, and not to worry and let the children practice away. But now the shoe's on the other foot in my own house, and you'd be kicking up against the wall, and you see the dash falling and hitting the spoutings, you'd be thinking, how much is that going to cost me to fix? But here, no, it was great. Like, obviously, it was me and Kieran growing up together, and to dodge the farming at times, you went and you played football, and maybe away out to a field somewhere to hide, so you wouldn't be caught to do a bit of work or something. But that's where it all started, and then filtered through the schools and that, and into the club, and took it from there.
Did you ever envisage where it would take you, where we are today, 19 years later? And I know you're still a club footballer, by the way, but 19 years later haven't...
No, I didn't. I remember going to my first Monaghan game in Bally. The first championship game was in Ballybuffet against Donegal in 95, was it, when they won?
Was, yeah.
And sort of whetted the appetite as a supporter then, and the disappointment from that game to a couple of weeks later losing the semi-final against Cavan in the wet in Clonus. And just from then on, like, it was always with my grandfather, Granda Packy and Emmy Vale. He took us in the back of the Jeep. There was a crew of us, length and breadth of the country, following Monaghan, and sort of, as I said, it whetted the appetite when you were supporting them. And here it was a childhood dream to hope to pull on the Monaghan jersey, and I fulfilled that at a young age, and to think that the career I had after, like, it's only probably reminiscing a wee bit now and in the last couple of days and that, and here I can have no complaints. You'll probably remember the darker days more than the better days, but here it's all part and parcel of sport and life, and you just deal with that and get on with it.
When you're in the bubble of playing it, I suppose you don't get too wrapped up in all the punditry that's been talked about and all the reports that's there and that. It's nice to hear you saying reminiscing on it now and being able to look back and take it all in.
Yeah, and it's easier for a player to handle the defeat, I think, than a supporter or somebody on the outside, because probably scenarios have been under our control, and maybe we just haven't dealt with them like we should, and you just deal with that and you aim to bounce back and get on with it. Whereas from a supporter point of view, you're probably going up the road and it's just pure frustration after that, because you're just hoping for more. And I suppose when coming out the other side of it now, you'll be the supporter, and looking in from the other side of the white line, you'll be dealing with them frustrations. But I think it probably come with experience as the years went on. It probably got easier to deal with defeats that you learn to bounce back from, and that. And I said, we had a lot of tough days along the way, but there's also a lot of good days from Monaghan. Like, if you go back from when we started supporting them, like, and where you were going to watch games and the level of league football they were playing at, to get, like, in 95 and 96, I remember going to quarterfinals and semi-finals league in Croke Park. And then there was a long drought for a Monaghan senior men's team. It was the ladies' team you were going supporting in Croke Park for a long time. And it was probably 05 before the men team got back there for the league final, and the last 12 game that year. And from 2005 on, like, the thing really pushed on from a culture point of view within the county. And I was probably lucky enough that I just was drip fed into that team at that time from 06 on. Then it just the years just went on and just
took it from there. There was a video done the rounds back when the celebrations were coming to Division 2, Paul Finlay kicking the ball in, the fist hitting it, putting it at the back of the net. Camera panned round to Hill 16. I think there was a certain Darren Hughes as a supporter that day, was there?
Yeah, I was running around the pitch afterwards with no top on me. So, yeah, that's the joys of being an 18-year-old under the influence of a few drinks, probably. But, yeah, it was a great day for Monaghan football. Like, we were sitting there and sure you were a point or two down last kick, and so we were in the hill, the far end, and the ball drops in the net, and you don't really know what happens. You just see everyone going on the pitch, and sure, the Division 1 final was delayed after. I think it was Armagh and Wexford that day. They were trying to come out and warm up, and they were still trying to get us off the field. And here it was a great day. It was, as I say, we had great crack getting to Croke Park and to get back again that summer. And as you were living the life of a supporter at that stage, and probably little did I think within 12 months I'd be part of the panel. And I suppose that was the end of 06. So it was taken in, and then for 07 you were starting to get to the finals, and so the thing just took off from there. So it did.
Ballooned from there. It's amazing to think, as you said, an 18-year-old running around celebrating with lads then that you were going to be playing with and had success with as well. Like, there's just a lovely autonomy to that story. So there is. Did you come through on the development squads, minors, under 21s?
There probably was no development squads, right? I was county minor, but I was in goals in the county minors. And that just happened by chance that at the end of January they knew that the number one goalkeeper is Thomas Sullivan from Carrick was going to be away, and they'd seen me messing about in goal. I probably was going to get dropped off the squad. I wouldn't have been pushing on well in it, and he says, "You do goals in the first game," and I split their hand off for it. Kind of knew when I'd get in, I'd put my front foot forward and grasp it if I could, and played in goals for all the league and championship for the rest of the year from there. And but probably at club level here, I hadn't really been making the club team the year before, and had a great year then at the club team that year, the minor team. So sort of pushed on from there a bit, and then went to university in Jordanstown. You were getting a lot of football there, and the whole thing just sort of spiraled in the space of 12 or 14 months.
And you noted there, thinking you were going to maybe get dropped to the minors, not having a great year maybe at the juvenile level discussion. Now when you look back, was that just you yourself maybe not pushing, or just the level of what was played?
Wasn't good enough at the time. Probably physically I wasn't in good enough shape to be playing at the level that I should have been. Like, I was either a midfielder, or probably thought of myself as a full forward, but whether I was any good at it or not was another story. But I'd say physically I wasn't in good enough shape to be, like, I had attributes. I was probably typical player that I was strong and powerful, but I hadn't been performing well, and
Yeah.
you probably got through that at that age. And then like I went to Jordanstown then, and was getting a lot of football there. You're playing in the lower levels of the fresher teams. You're getting seconds and thirds football every week, and a lot of crack along the way with it too. But you were just getting exposed. Mickey Moran was manager at the time of it, like, and you were sort of you're trying to up your game in front of him. Like, he was Mayo Senior County manager at the time, and you're just it was sort of, you were wet, getting a look at the first team and hoping you could get in there. Like Mark McCaffrey from Air Oak and Owen Duffy from Latin were on the starting fresher team that time, and you'd been sort of chatting to them and wondering was there any hope of getting in. But Down had won the All-Ireland minor that year, so there was a good sprinkle of them boys there, so they were all in on the scholarships and stuff. But here just took me chance there, and as I say, got a lot of seconds and thirds football, and Mickey Moran gave me a shot one day in the first against Queens in the Dub, and sort of done all right. And
Snowballed.
yeah, well, it did. It was a bit of confidence, and I'd been in on and then called into the under-21s after that. County under-21s was called in as sub-keeper at the time, and then sort of was playing well there, and played wing back out the field that year, and then got the call from Banty then probably a couple of weeks after that. Or it was Monaghan had just lost to Armagh after a replay in 06 in the Ulster Championship, and Pat was refereeing a game against Through one day down in Through, and had scored 7 points, and Banty rang me the next day, and that's never looked back after that.
Never looked back, but it's amazing just to hear the story, because there's such a big focus on development, and rightly so, and the young players now being brought in and developed and worked on. But sometimes it just works out, getting a bit of ball, getting a chance, somebody seeing you at the right time.
That was the right time, but yeah. I probably done a 3-year, if not a 4-year apprenticeship at senior level. Like, it was 09 before I really cemented the place. I suppose back then you'd done the 21s. That kept you going throughout the year. Like, the under-21s didn't start to March, but it was knockout competition, so if you kept going, you were getting an extra month's football, and you were still training with the senior team at the time, but it was keeping you in football. You probably weren't getting frustrated as quick, maybe not getting the game time you were hoping for, but you were young, and I suppose from my point of view, I'd got my foot in the door of being a Monaghan senior footballer, and I wasn't going to do anything that was going to jeopardise staying there and hopefully having a prolonged career down the line.
Absolutely, yeah, and that's the big part of it. It's interesting there about the goalkeeper, being goalkeeper at minor, and the opportunity arising and then moving out to play, and all of a sudden you're called back in as a senior goalkeeper as well. It was minded out. You played every position on the field now as a county player, including being the goalkeeper as well. It was 2010 Casement against Armagh, wasn't it?
Yeah, it was a bit of a hectic week, that one now, but yeah, just come about. There was an injury to Shane Duffy, and we were down to one goalkeeper in training, and there was probably a couple of drills formulated that we needed 2 goalkeepers to save, and it just come about that week that I suppose started hitting a few kickouts and making a few saves, and I'd say Owen Lennon probably had a word in the background with it too, that he was preferring maybe my kickouts, and I was going to be lined out full back that week, and the way it worked out, it was probably worked out in my favour. Obviously it was in goals, but if I had been full back, I would have been on Jamie Clark, and it wouldn't have been an ideal match up for me. And it was Desi Moan was on him, and he could pull it after 20 minutes. So as I say, these things sometimes work out for the best. But yeah, there was a bit of a hoo-ha around it. I probably got Paul Grimley sort of tipped me off after training on the Friday night, and Banty rang me on the Saturday then, and
was that close? Games on a Sunday, so it was
Sunday. It was that close, yeah. No, it was, and the team didn't know till Sunday morning, till the team meeting.
Well, I can clearly remember we were down in Casement, and the word started to filter through. Darren Hughes and goals. We actually thought it was a joke or something that was being done. No. I remember running out to the bus to see what
we were late that day too.
That's right,
we only landed about half an hour before the game. So
Yeah.
The boys, nobody knew until the team didn't know. Maybe Banty might have been on to some of the senior players, I don't know, but he didn't tell me to the Saturday. I had been told on the Friday. Paul Grimley was coach at the time, and in the town and bought me gloves on the Saturday morning.
I was going to say there's a good story about you having to go to get the gloves.
I suppose. Well, Dermot McDermott served me, and he's like, he says, they're for a cousin's birthday party. So yeah, and that was it. And here it worked out well. Like, we had a good win that day and a good win the next day, and I would have been in goals in the Ulster final. Only Vinny got injured the week before, and I ended up playing 6 in the Ulster final then.
That's right, and Shane Duffy actually back
playing
then
goals, and
he was carrying the knot.
He was restricted, like he couldn't do his usual run up for the kick out and that. So yeah, that was another story along the way.
It was indeed. Well, we'll hold the story for a moment. The sun's out. We're thoroughly enjoying it here. But we might move inside as well to take a look at what's happening inside here. And we'll continue the story of Darren here. Now, as I said, our story was going to be moving inside. I've just done that into the Kilmore hub here. I'm taking it this is a sort of it's a studio. I noticed wrote on the door, Darren, for all sorts to happen. I'd imagine there's the odd heated team meeting held in here.
Yeah, that's where the tactics are through out and debated. So yeah, no, it's a great facility to have.
It absolutely is. We were looking in the gym there, and it was interesting, you noted that was a home from home for you, obviously on the back of that serious injury that you picked up in the championship against Cavan back 2024 actually.
Yeah, April 24.
Right, yeah. And at that time, a lot thought, that's it, you were being stretchered off. It's the last time we're going to see Darren Hughes. And Darren being Darren, come back for another year. But at that time, even for yourself, what was that like?
Okay, sure. We all knew it was a serious injury at the time, and truth being told, I probably thought it was the end of the road myself, just for it was going to take time to get back where I was at age-wise, and how long the physical shape I was going to come back in to get back into being any addition to the squad. But here I got back into club football after just between 5 and 6 months, and in hindsight now, I was playing when I probably shouldn't have been. I was okay, but when I see the shape I got back into this year now, you want a full benefit to your teammates of that. But no, truth being told, Sean, I probably thought it was the end of the road for Monaghan, and even after, as the club championship was going on, I wasn't shooting the lights out or doing anything, and I'd probably my mind made up, and just circumstances changed at home in November that I'd lost the herd, the cattle went down with TB, and the cattle were going to be gone, cows were gone for 4 months. So it was a situational scenario, and I just had a conversation with Orla one morning, and she was all for going back to the county, because it was going to be a serious hole to be filled, time wise and the time of year and everything. And Gabriel had just been newly appointed, and I had a conversation with him within the first couple of days that he got the job, and I just said, here, I'll chat to you when the club season's over, because if I'm not at the peak of my powers by the end of this, it'll be an easy decision for me to make. But as I say, I rang him then when the club was over, and he knew the circumstances at home and that, and I said, obviously it's still a good bit of rehabbing to do in the knee, but probably from a selfish point of view, I was thinking I'll have that expertise at hand as well, all the time to get myself back in decent shape again. And with the new management in, and the new rules, I was kind of excited by it a wee bit. Even to be in, I didn't know if I was ever going to be fit to play, but I knew I'd bring some sort of value in behind the scenes in training. And I suppose now looking back, I was delighted probably the way the year worked out for me to be fit to go in, to be fit to train all the time. Got a few minutes, was fit to have an impact for the team here and there. And I say this was a complete bonus year for me, and I knew this was going to be the last year, and so every time you were going, every game you were going to, and every time you were doing something, you kind of knew this would be the last time. So that's I'm at peace with the decision. There was no you could drag it out, but I'm 39 in February. I think I have to look at the family at home and that, and they've sacrificed a lot over the years. As everything I have done, I don't see it as a sacrifice. I loved it, I enjoyed it, but they've give up a lot, and for 6 or 8 months of the year, everything's planned around what I'm doing 2 or 3 weeks ahead on a football schedule. So you sort of have to give a wee bit back.
Yeah. You touched on it there. Obviously, your home life is dairy farming, and you're well known in that regard. And you talked about losing the herd TB, a substantial herd that you'd built up. And the flip of that then, that the recovery from the injury, no doubt got you through what would have been difficult times at home on the farm in regards to that happening.
Yeah, I suppose when you look back over the 6 or 7 months that everything happened, I called in a lot of favours along the way from the knee, from the day I done the knee, and so there was a fracture in the leg as well. I was laid up in the house for 3 weeks. So probably I was lucky enough that the weather was bad at home, that the cows weren't out all the time, that they were fit to be in the house, and with the robotic system at least they were in milk, so Daddy just had to feed them, but there's still cows calving and stuff. But okay, I had a lot of friends that I'll be indebted to for that get calls at any hour of the day to help, or if somebody wasn't about that I'd have to go and show them what to do or ask them to go over and do something. And then as that went on, I was probably back, and it was probably curtailing me rehab a bit, what I was doing on the farm when I shouldn't have been doing stuff. But I kind of knew it was probably slowing up the injury process a bit, but the healing of it. But realistically, did I think I was going to be back playing football for the county in 2024? No. So I could probably take that risk, and we would have had a few debates with Emlyn and the lads, the physios at training, like, but it's here, your work life has to go on, like, so they'd have known different nights growing up and the swelling on the knee, and I'd just smile at them and they'd just bite their lip probably and get on with it. But then sure, I was here coming back and playing football, and then sure, we got the knock with the TB test in November, like, and here it was tough at the time, but sure, as I say, in any walk of life, we'll all have knocks along the way. In any business, you'll take your hits, and you just you have to double down and deal with them and bounce back from them, and thankfully we have now, and we heard all back fully stocked again by the end of April this year.
Wow, that's incredible, that journey in the period of 2 years from where it was to where you find yourself now. Just the details of the injury, Darren, at that time we all obviously bore witness to it, so it was beyond a cruciate, was it?
No, it wasn't a cruciate, no. Thankfully it wasn't the cruciate, it was the PCL,
right,
which is on the outside. I can't even remember, because I've done both in PCL and MCL,
right,
and a fracture at the top of the tibia just below the knee. Wow. But it was grand, like, it was a broken bone, and it was going to heal in the time frame. The PCL was always, I was told it was going to take 6 months, and did I truly believe it would? I thought if he says 6, I'll be back in 4 sort of thing, but I still couldn't walk at 16 weeks, so I knew.
Right,
I couldn't walk, I still had a limp at 16 weeks, so it just took time, like, and the surgeon, I didn't need surgery thankfully, but the knee specialist, also the surgeon, was happy enough that the physios were guiding me through that rehab program, and it's like everything you do in the gym, and it probably all adds up, but with the injury it just took us time, and that's I had to give it his time, like, you couldn't.
Well, absolutely.
And
the funny thing is, anybody who knows you as a player, you're abrasive, you're physical, you don't mind the battles of that collision on that day. It looked innocuous enough. I know it was a strong collision between yourself, and it was the two you seemed to get caught between them, but obviously it was the momentum carried forward.
And I have watched it back numerous times since, and I still don't right know what happened for the injury I got. I think my leg actually got stuck on the ground, and it was Patrick Faulkner that had come through myself, and Brady, wasn't it? And I heard the crack straight away. I knew I was in trouble, and I suppose you were just hoping it wasn't the cruciate, because at that stage, a 12-month rehab, like, you really would have been, the writing would have been on the wall, I'd say. So I knew within 3 or 4, probably that Friday, when the swelling went down, got the scan and that the cruciate was intact. So it was playing the waiting game after that. You were laid up for 3 weeks. Before you could do anything worth talking about, even from a strengthening point of view in the gym with that, like, it was, I was just in one of them braces, and just
go from there.
Well,
listen, again, it's just incredible, and you got back and obviously helped the team get back up again to Division 1 football. Colm Shelby is an absolute marvel when it comes to these stats. Some of the stats you come out with this week, I don't know how aware you are of some of these. 6 games.
There could be pints in the go an odd night, and there'd be a debate on, and somebody was anyone Shelby's number there and give him a text to see who scored what or who's played what. So he does get an odd late night text now from some of the boys.
Well, we're looking at 206 games, which is a fair bit of running now in 19 years of football as well. 13 goals and 77 points. And you can recall, you were saying the majority of the 13 goals, I suppose you'll always remember a goal.
I don't remember them all, no. I was actually surprised when there was 13 goals on it now. No, I don't remember them. I think the first one was against Cork down here in Scotstown in the league game. Won first or second round of the league in 08 or 09. And No, I don't remember too many. There was one in Armagh one in Newry against Armagh in the championship in 21. We scored 2 in the championship. Penalty against Tyrone in 11, and that one in Armagh in 21. And there was one in Galway during COVID to keep us up.
That's right,
Got us to extra time. So it was, and then a couple against Dublin and Derry later on in league games when we were losing. No, don't
recall them all.
I don't, and I'd usually remember a lot of stuff now, but no, it mustn't have been of much significance.
I was going to say, but a lot of it will probably be coming back over now the last couple of days. And I'd imagine the phone has been busy. Social media is obviously the big thing now as well. So there's a lot comes up on that too. Have you been touching in on that? Have you been delving?
No, well, I don't. I'm not. My social media game's well slowed up now. I sort of, from 2019 on, I just deleted all and never really haven't been on Twitter since. Bit of Facebook there, look at it, and I have Instagram on the laptop. I dip into it, so I haven't really been looking. I just seen it as a complete distraction. So it was, and that was it wasn't just football, it was you were sitting scrolling, and he says, I'm spending too much time in this, and I could have been looking at more farming stuff than football stuff, but sort of distanced myself now from the social media game this long time, and probably had too much to say sometimes too. I cringe at some of the stuff there now. Why you sending me screenshots of stuff I would have said over the years, like, so I'm glad I rolled back from that side of things.
That footprint's always there, no matter how much you think you've deleted, it's still always there. Well, I'm sure you're being informed then as some of the stuff, just in fairness, is doing the rounds and how you're being spoke of, and it's all complimentary, obviously, then as well. And I'm sure even maybe lads that you've went up against on the playing field at intercounty level and that, dropped them in. They're glad maybe to see the back,
Yeah, there's a couple of nice messages over the last few days now, and a couple of lads glad they'll not have the stuff to listen to on the pitch anymore. I might have, as I say, been too outspoken by times, but I says it could be worse off now. I'll be the other side of the white line. I can really vent my opinion at them, but definitely there's been a lot of stuff there now in the last day or so. So I fully appreciate it, and like it's just when you look back at it all, you do forget, and friends and memories, and the everything that's happened over the years with different, like obviously the county team, and then you railway cups and different things, and lads texting and international rules and that, and you sort of forget about all that as life goes on. But you have a couple of good giggles now in the last couple of days.
You touched on it there, obviously the Railway Cup and representing your province. Probably the biggest accolade is to represent your country at any sport or in anything, and you had that honour as well on a couple of occasions, both here and down under in Australia as well.
I was part of panels in 11, 13, 14, 15 and 17. I got 3 trips to Australia out of it, so like that, they were up there with the highlights, especially the first one in 2011. Like I was only 24 when I went. I was one of the youngest players in the panel, and I roomed with Ty Kennelly for 3 weeks in Australia, and you're Stephen McDonald, Kieran Donaghy, Carl Lacey, Michael Murphy. Like they were great players. Like Leighton Glynn from Wicklow, Emmett Bolton, Kevin McKernan, like Neil McGee, Stephen Cluxton was captain at the time. Like it was great crack. Like, and so them trips to Australia, you see, you get an insight into players as players, but also as people as well, and a lot of memories and great friends made along the way.
Did the Australians ever come looking? You had the physicality. You'd have it.
I probably, after that series in 2011, if I had pushed the boat out, I could have went on a VFL for a year, but I was 24. I was too old at that stage. Like I wouldn't. You could have went out there for a part-time contract and hope that somebody picked you up, but I just felt at that stage I was too old, and that I suppose things were just starting to take shape at home from the farming point of view and that, and it wasn't going to work for me, and probably without ever pushing the boat out on it, I'm probably a home board anyway. Whether I would have settled or not would have been another story. We had been in a county final with Scotstown that year and lost it, and things were starting to move in the right direction here. It was spoke about, but nothing concrete. Like never pushed the boat on it. No.
I was going to say you weren't going to push the boat on it as well, because that was in the middle of Ulster titles coming to the county.
Yeah, but we didn't know that. That was 2011, so we'd just been relegated from Division 1.
Yeah.
No, Division 2 we were relegated from in 2011. So
Division 3.
we were going to play. We played Division 2 in 2012. We were relegated for our first year in Division 3 was 2013. So it was, but like you had a disappointing year with the county. In 2011 you were beat by Offaly in the championship. So we knew we were that. I suppose there's a bit of a transition going on. We had lost the mainstay of them boys from the Damien Freemans, Rory Woods, JP Moan, them lads, and there was a lot of young boys coming through, and that's just, and it was no fault of Eamon's at the time. Like he was keeping the ship a sail as best possible, but just we probably lost our way a wee bit. And I think looking back now as players, like we have to take a lot of onus on that too. That from what we were doing on and off the field wouldn't have been the levels that was expected of a team that wanted to be playing in Division 1. So here Malachy come in late 2012 and just set the tone down straight away, and probably Division 3 was a great place to be starting in from. You're getting games where you had the potential to win a lot of matches, and that's what happened. And I suppose we built a bit of momentum that took us into the championship in 2013.
I was just going to say that, how big a part did Malachy play in that? You said from Division 3, Division 2, Division 1, Ulster titles coming 2013, 2015. As you said, he got the perfect base where he started. There was then players that were coming through in that as well. But there's obviously something he brought to it too. And I know you've been under, as 5 managers.
Yeah, no, here, Malachy, like, you know how he's held in how what we think of him as Monaghan players. Like it's going to take a good manager in my eyes to top him being the best manager I've ever worked under. Just what he done for Monaghan football in that period. And here, he'll know himself, it wasn't him alone. Like the backroom team, the lads he brought with him and Ryan and Leo and Finbar Fitz come in that first year at the time. But he was leading the charge, so he was, and like set his stall down pretty early with us. Like we'd have been looking to get to weddings and stags and different things before Christmas and walking around it, and it was just no, like, and that was the eye opener straight away that this man means business. But in fairness, he seen something in us too to take the job. He knew there was an obvious bit of talent there. But like probably at the time, if you had told us when he was getting the job that we'd have the success and the big games that we played in after that for a period of time, and still there. And we were previously, like we were getting to Ulster finals, and Monaghan had turned the tide, I would say, from 2005 when Banty came in. Like there was a major culture change in Monaghan football about how they prepared and how they were perceived throughout the country after that. And I was lucky enough to come in that in 2006 and see the work that was going on and how we were training. Like training was tough, and you were going and you were starting to play the Dublins and the Kerrys, and it was you were coming in against big stuff. Or Cork at the time were big, but like Malachy come in and say he got that the foundation of games in Division 3 and that belief, and we'd Antrim in the first round 1-8 and scraped through Cavan in the semi-final by playing overly well, and you had 3 weeks to lead into an Ulster final then, and just we were prepared to the nth degree. Like we were so confident going in. Like we're 7-1 against, or 7-1 on that day, and like we were so confident, and we were coming up against the All-Ireland champions, but we felt we had the work done. And here, many a day since, you think you've the work done, you come up against teams and you don't, you win it, but just it was a day for Monaghan football that everything just fell into place from our performance, the minors before, just everything was just set up, and it'll live long in the memory.
Absolutely. But you said with the standards being set, you as players coming in then knew, right, this is going in the right direction here if we put the hard work in. And the hard work, as you said, was being done there in previous years, but all of a sudden the standard went up. When the standard goes up, the hard work goes up. Then the quality of your opposition goes up. So everything was moving in the right direction.
Yeah, you were getting to Croke Park year on year, which was a big thing for supporters and players. Were becoming accustomed to playing in Croke Park. It wasn't a big deal going up the road, and yeah, you'd went from Division 3 to Division 2 to Division 1. You stayed in Division 1 for 10 years. Like obviously some years you hung on, but you were still there. It was a big driving force come back in November every year to know you were going to be in Division 1 that following year, because you knew you were having to put the work in. So it's here. He just, as I say, Malachy was at the top. He drove them standards, and it filtered into us as players. Like, and obviously we had to go out and perform and if you weren't performing, like you weren't long that you're sitting in beside him. Like he doesn't, he'd make no bones about that.
Yeah.
Like he was there to win football matches, but like to get the 2 Ulster Championships out of it. But like I said earlier, you'll probably remember darker days more. Like we left a lot of semi-finals behind us.
Yeah, there was.
You'll worry, you'll think about them and regrets over them over the years. But here, that's football for you.
Well, they'll temper ever so slightly.
Yeah, they do.
Yeah. And just the medals and accolades and man of the match awards and different pieces like that. Do you have them? Do you be looking at them? Do you take them in? Or?
I haven't done many man of the matches now, but
There's a few there.
Anything? No, it would be all up in Mommy's house forever, it is. So no, I don't.
I just thinking they'd be the reflection on the good days.
I would.
Bad days.
Yeah, no, I haven't a clue where me Ulster title. I'd say Mommy has them in a safe place.
Oh, I'd imagine you had.
Yeah. So, no.
As the player that came in, Tommy Murphy Cup 2006 debut against Louth. Obviously, you're the young player coming in and making your way into a dressing room with experienced players. Moving on. All of a sudden, you've left the dressing room now as one of the most experienced players that Monaghan would have had in there. Did you find even over time you taken maybe up that role, that leadership role, or being mindful of these guys are coming through behind me now? They're in the position that I was the position in 2006.
Yeah, I definitely would. I'd say from probably 2018 on, I would have took on more of a role in that. I sort of felt maybe if your performance levels aren't going to be where they may have been previously, and as I say, from 20, I was 31, and you're kind of thinking, sure, every year could be your last year at that stage. So you were probably trying to bring as much value to the team as possible, and you'd have been probably going out of your way a bit to make young lads feel comfortable in the environment, and sort of looking at that side of things. And maybe I would have found some probably around a year or two after that I maybe focused too much on other boys and did my own performance did falter,
right,
and maybe turned the tide a wee bit and went more selfish on my own performance then when I was still a bit older, but I was still playing where I didn't expect to be, maybe as you're getting into 34, 35, 36, and you had to just focus on your own game a bit more. But definitely when I hit the 30s now, you'd have been looking at making sure, because I say you don't know when your last game's going to be, and I'm a Monaghan supporter at the end of the day, and you want to be fit to go and support Monaghan in big games in the future, and you're hoping them boys are as best prepared. And I have no doubt there now that the boys, there's enough experience, there's enough youth, there's enough quality in that squad that the Monaghan will stay at the top table for a long time yet.
Absolutely. I'm trying to think, did you have a cap in the county?
I did in 2012.
Right.
Yeah.
Just when that tide was turning.
And probably happened by chance too. I think Eamon had come to me at the start of the year, and I kind of knew I was in contention for it, and Owen Lennon probably should have been captain, but he just hadn't fully committed with an injury or that. And I had come back. I was in good form. I was probably I was still in 25 or 25 coming, but I was probably one of the more senior players, just the way the thing had happened at the time. And so captained the team that year. It wasn't our best year, but
that exactly.
It was here at that time. When I look back now, like you were too young to be captain. Like it's serious. Like you were all right in that dressing room, because you'd still Vinny, Jop, Jinxie. You'd still them boys there. I think there was a lot more probably expected of a captain back then than potentially now, because you're sort of building that leadership group and all that round teams now. And I was probably, in hindsight, here was an accolade you were never going to turn down. Like if you were offered the chance to captain your county, but I did captain in odd games after that. But I had that year. Yeah, it was a great experience, but I suppose it opened my eyes to the other side of it of what captains have to deal with now coming in. And there's a lot of part of a lot to deal with on and off the field, and organising and delegating between players and management. They just can't turn up the training and go home. They're sort of mediators and delegators all the time, so there's a lot goes with it.
There's a lot goes on in the background of it, I suppose, is right. And just you bring us up to where we find ourselves now. Obviously, you're still a club player and looking forward to that end of it and pulling the jersey on for Scotstown. You got a year under the new rules then as well, which probably was the bonus for you too. Not only getting back to get that year after the injury, but to even get the new rules, the changes in the game, no doubt, not only in players and managers, but even in how the game is played tactically and with these new rules. How did you find it this year, even with them?
Yeah, it was definitely a factor in going back to get an insight. I suppose you'll always get an insight at inter-county good and early. And if it wasn't going back, you're going to be coming back to the club here, and you'd have been asking the vice what's going on, or what are you doing in this scenario, what?
Yeah.
And here, I don't think any team, club or county in the country, has just nailed on the perfect way to play in these new. But you have to work with the tools you have, and I suppose break ball seems to be the biggest thing if you can get on top of that area of the field. But here, there's no doubt the rules is a better game for it. So it is, and
as a spectacle, but even for you as players.
Players it is, yeah, it's a better game. Like, and I never bought into the old school theory, and coming from the media and supporters as boring, but when you were playing it, you never felt that, because you're so engrossed. You're in a bubble. You had your own tactics. You were trying to break down the opposition. The opposition was trying to. You were in that bubble where it didn't matter. But when you put this year's game against last year's game, like it's just a better game for everyone, player, supporter, everyone. I'd say managers and coaches mightn't like it because they've less control, but I think as a spectacle and as the GAA pushed forward, like there's no doubt that it was a big call, but it was the right one.
It's interesting you say about the control. It was something I often talk to players about. You're sent out, you have your tactics, as you said, you're in the bubble of knowing what we have to do and stuff like that. As a player now that has come through the 19 years of inter-county football, would you found at times that it was too controlling, that the expressiveness of the player maybe was being lost? I'm trying to think of players that maybe, I know Mulligan jumps into my head straight away. He would do things you wouldn't expect. Conor McManus could do things you wouldn't expect. You would do things maybe even yourself you weren't expecting, but was it still very controlled for you as a player? Was there times you're thinking, no, well, I want to do something, but if I do it, I could be getting the wee curly finger to go to the sideline?
Yeah, I never felt that pressure, because I probably, without being arguing, I probably knew I had a bit of scope for making a few mistakes without being taken off. Just my position in the team at the time under Malachy, and probably give away too many ball in a game. Like, my averages don't be good now, and Malachy would have been, he spent about 3 years putting the kicking game out of me, and he got there eventually because it was just too erratic and not good enough. But wasn't good enough for the type of game that Monaghan wanted to play. Like, and he was 100% right, and we had many a debate over it. But it was very controlled. So it was from if you look at the 2013 Ulster final, we didn't put one short kick out.
Yeah,
it wasn't a thing. It just wasn't a thing for us. And then from 2015 on, most of our kickouts were short.
Yeah.
So you're gaining more control by winning the ball, which sounds far harder to get up the field. And your defenders are having to do everything. They're having to defend, they're having to win the ball, they're having to get up the field. And a lot of the time your defenders were coming at the end of your scores too, because your forwards were being double marked. Double marked. So there was a lot of control on it, but it was the way the game went. And sure, from my point of view, like I kind of loved that, because it was intriguing about how you go and break down a team and try and spot weaknesses or see what their main strengths are, and can you take advantage of that anywhere along the way. And that's just what the game was at for a while. And here, it's like anything, it goes full circle, and certainly has at the minute now. It's just a far more open, expansive game. Like when they're saying football is more exciting than hurling at the minute.
That's what I say. Yeah, exactly. Yeah. So, the scoring is on a par with it then as well, so it is.
You can't keep up there in some games of scored, especially Monaghan during the year. Like, you have a couple of 2-pointers, and you don't know, the next thing you've 10, 14 points in the book.
Have you a 2-pointer to your name?
I've one at the club just.
One at the club. Didn't materialise at the county?
No, they haven't scored at the county since, Jesus, I'd say Kildare in Tullamore that day.
Right. And that was back
2 years ago.
2 years ago. I was going to say that. That was the day that the Miners had won that day then as well.
I'd say.
Right. Wow. You wouldn't even think that actually until you start. Even you having to think on it.
I'm only thinking out loud. No, I think that is it.
Yeah. Well, it's been fascinating to chat. There's two other little things that was in my head. What was it like to be sharing the county jersey then with the brother and being on the county field with Kieran then as well?
Sure, it was great at the time, but you're probably past no remarks on it.
Yeah.
It was just is something that, well, you kind of always knew him coming through the ranks that he was always going to play county at some stage. Like, but our first game together was against I think it was against Wexford in Clonus in 2009 in the league. So it was, and here was a special day, but it's a long time ago now, and you just we played together for 15, 16 years, whatever it was on the county. And as I say, you take them sort of thoughts and memories for granted, like, and we two of us we talk about it since, like, you do take them, you just on marks. We travelling to matches and games and falling out with each other long before county football, so it continued throughout that. Like, there was many, you didn't know whether it was safer to have us in the same team or the opposite teams at training some nights, but it was probably, for us, we just got on with it. It was probably more special for the family in that the two sons were playing, and as I said, it happened for that long that we just got on with it like it was. But it was nice that you're fit to share the field so often and that, and probably something you'll only appreciate in years to come.
You use the word appreciate there, and again, just to speak on behalf of everyone, we appreciate, in fairness, the 19 years you give the county jersey. Obviously, we're looking forward to what you're going to be doing with Scottstown into the future. There's still plenty more football, I think, in Darren Hughes, is there?
I hope so now. If we keep the weight off over Christmas, it'll be the biggest trick now. Hopefully now, as I say, the years fly by, but I'm feeling in good enough condition at the minute, and as I say, hopefully a couple of years in the club left me yet.
Have you exited the WhatsApp group yet?
Did, yeah.
That's the toughest bit. They often say that's the toughest bit.
There's a funny story behind this, actually, and I'm going to say it, I'm going to hang a man out here, but he'll take this the right way. I love him. He's Francie McGinty, our waterman, kit man with Monaghan. So I'd rang Gabriel Monday morning, and I got round a few of the close members of the backroom team that had done a lot for me over the years. So I text Francie and thanked him for everything over the years, and Francie had always said, when I go, he'll go. But I just said, there's plenty of life left in you yet, don't be making any drastic decisions. And he's like, no, I think I'll stay on, like, I'm happy enough. And he went to text one of the boys, but put it into the WhatsApp group by accident. So that was that. I just followed suit. Francie had done the donkey walk for me, so I was happy enough. It worked out great. It took the edge off it for me, and both took the whole emotion out of it, because I thought about leaving the panel last year after the Galway game, and I just wasn't ready to go, and I would have spoke with Carl and Manzi at length at different times, and we would have been debating new management, it's time to go and different things, and it just didn't. I just wasn't ready to do it. Was going to do it the week after the Donegal game this year, and just couldn't do it. Like, and I know it did break the ice from the other day. Like, I knew the Donegal game was my last game. Like, I knew leaving Croke Park, the boys knew looking at me, like, there was a bit of emotion and all there, and but still, the talk about leaving the WhatsApp group whenever you have to go and do it, it's tough. And but it definitely it broke the ice from the other day, and just fit a reel in after Francie now, and it all worked out for the best.
Well, there you go. Good man, Francie. He got the exclusive to then, so he did. Well, listen, Darren, it's been an absolute pleasure. Thanks a million for taking time out to stay here today. Much appreciated. And for showing us around. The rain's teeming down here now. I'm glad we moved to the inside here, so we did as well. That's it, the Monaghan Way. Another episode complete for you here. Something special once again. And don't forget, you can check out on our 15 previous episodes. I think this is episode 16 we're actually on to here now. And check out all the other previous ones as well on your YouTube streaming, on your Apple platform, or indeed on your Android, or anywhere that you pick up on your podcasts.